गुड मॉर्निंग जेंटलमैन। मैं आपके साथ एक बहुत अहम मुद्दे के ऊपर बात करने वाला हूँ। एंड यू नो द आइडिया ऑफ मेकिंग दिस वीडियो केम आफ्टर वॉचिंग सम वीडियोज ऑफ पाकिस्तानी कमेंटेटर्स। ये सब बात करते हैं ऑन वेरियस टॉपिक्स, सभी टॉपिक पे बात करते हैं, बट दे डोंट टॉक ऑन वन टॉपिक एंड दैट इज आर्मी रूल इन पाकिस्तान। मेरे ख्याल में उनको डर लगता है कि अगर वो आर्मी रूल पे बोलेंगे या बात करेंगे तो दे विल बी अरेस्टेड एंड पुट इन जेल। बिकॉज आर्मी की एक रेपुटेशन है पाकिस्तान में कि दोज हु डोंट एग्री विद देम और दोज हु डिसएग्री विद देम उनको पकड़ के जेल में बंद कर दो। एंड इफ वर्स कम टू वर्स, यू कैन हैंग हिम ऑन द ट्री। पहला जो पेड़ मिल रहा है उसमें लटका दो। आप देखिए एट द मोमेंट पाकिस्तान के जो एक्स प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं इमरान खान, ही सिटिंग इन जेल। उनकी जो वाइफ हैं वो भी जेल में बैठी हैं। एंड इससे पहले जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे नवाज शरीफ, उनको 10 साल की कैद हो चुकी थी और अब आर्मी की प्रेशर के साथ उनको एक्विट कर दिया। यानी आर्मी इज बी ऑल एंड एवरीथिंग इन देयर पाकिस्तान। और इस बात पे कोई भी पाकिस्तानी कमेंटेटर बात नहीं करता। एंड आप जानते हो कि द बॉटम लाइन वाज रीच्ड जब जुल्फ़िकार अली भुट्टो को फांसी दे दी 12 बजे रात को। एंड ऑल द टाइम भुट्टो was thinking they will not hang me, तो वो शेर बना हुआ था, बट उस रात वो गीदड़ बन गए। ही रियलाइज कि पाकिस्तान आर्मी सीरियस, उसको उनको फांसी पे लटकाएंगे। एंड हिज लास्ट वर्ड्स वर, बाय गॉड आई हैव नॉट कमिटेड एनी मर्डर। तो मैंने सोचा पाकिस्तान की तो कमेंटेटर बनाएंगे नहीं, लेट मी मेक ए वीडियो ऑफ द पाकिस्तान आर्मी। सबसे पहले तो मस्ट बी रिमेंबर दैट इंडिया एंड पाकिस्तान बोथ गॉट इंडिपेंडेंस फ्रॉम ब्रिटिश रूल इन 1947। और कुछ टाइम के लिए जुल्फ़िकार अली, सॉरी अपना मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना, ही बिकेम द गवर्नर जनरल, बट ही डाइड वेरी शॉर्टली आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस। तो दिस इज ए सैड कमेंट्री। तो उसके बाद में उनके पास कोई लीडर नहीं था हु कुड लीड पाकिस्तान फॉरवर्ड। एंड नेट रिजल्ट वाज दैट देयर वाज लॉट ऑफ chaos एवरीथिंग। एंड फाइनली इन 1958 जनरल अयूब खान जो थे आर्मी चीफ थे और डिफेंस मिनिस्टर भी थे, ही कैरिड आउट अ मिलिट्री कू and became the chief martial law administrator. Now, Ayub Khan, अच्छे आदमी थे, I'll say that much about him. And he was not a bigoted individual, Islamic आदमी नहीं थे। उन्होंने काफ़ी laws कुछ बनाए which were very progressive. He actually brought in an ordinance on multiple marriages where he said that a man must satisfy the local police that you can have a second wife and you must have the permission of the first wife. So there was some changes, but overall अयूब खान ने सिर्फ आर्मी को ही बेनिफिट दिया and overall the people of Pakistan got nothing. And finally came that 1965 war, और उस वॉर में अयूब थॉट कि मैं बहुत बड़ी विक्ट्री जीतूंगा, बट नेट रिजल्ट बाद पाकिस्तान आर्मी could do nothing. And despite having the best of weapons from America, including the infrared night vision devices for their battle tanks and the F-104 fighters, और इंडिया के पास ऐसी कोई sophisticated weapon थी नहीं, and still they could not win the Pakistanis. And ultimately that was a detriment. उसके बाद पाकिस्तान नीचे ही चलता रहा, and finally in I think 68 he abdicated and said okay I'll go, and he died in disgrace. और उसके बाद में उनके जो प्रतीक थे, दैट इज जनरल यहिया खान, ही केम इनटू पावर। नाउ जनरल यहिया खान वही आदमी थे जिन्होंने रात को मेजर जनरल इस्कंदर मिर्ज़ा, जो पाकिस्तान के प्रेसिडेंट थे, उनके घर गए सुबह 4 बजे और पता नहीं 5 बजे, और वहाँ की जाके उन्होंने पिस्तौल उनके सिर पे रख दी और कहा भी देखिए ये मिलिट्री रूल हो गया है एंड यू मस्ट इमीडिएटली कैच द फर्स्ट फ्लाइट टू लंदन एंड गो देयर एंड स्टे देयर। और इस्कंदर मिर्ज़ा हैड नथिंग टू डू, आई मीन क्या कर सकते थे, उन्होंने जहाज में बैठ के चले गए एंड दैट्स द एंड ऑफ इट। एंड अयूब खान इतने बाइगोटेड हो गए उस वक़्त कि उन्होंने जब वो इस दुनिया से चले गए, इस्कंदर मिर्ज़ा एंड हिज बॉडी वाज टू बी ब्रॉट बैक टू पाकिस्तान, ही डिडंट अलाउ इट। and I think his body was buried in Tehran or Beirut, somewhere else, and that was the end of this thing. He didn't allow the body to come back to Pakistan. So you can well imagine the type of man Ayub Khan was. And then Ayub Khan also rigged the election. That was his capability. Now, unke opponent, I think in the 60th election, was Fatima Ali Jinnah, the sister of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And she was a very strong opponent. But last minute में अयूब खान को पता चला कि मैं हार जाऊंगा, तो he rigged the election and ultimately God knows what happened to her. She was murdered or something like that. There's a lot of mystery on her death. So अयूब खान तो चले गए. I think he went in disgrace. और next man जो आए थे वो General Yahya Khan. Now he was a drunkard absolutely, and he is a known fact, and a womanizer. That was one thing. These qualities are okay if you are able to deliver the goods for the Pakistan state. But he had only one thing to his credit. He was the first man who brought in the principle of one man, one vote in Pakistan. और 71 में इलेक्शन हुई, आई थिंक 1970 में इलेक्शन हुई. इन दैट शेख मुजीबुर रहमान जो अवामी लीग के थे, ही वन द मेजॉरिटी एंड शुड हैव बीन लॉजिकली मेड द प्राइम मिनिस्टर. पर उस वक्त जुल्फ़िकार अली भुट्टो साहब ने आ गए. ही वॉज अनदर वेरी एम्बिशियस मैन, एंड उन्होंने जनरल ज़िया खान को एडवाइस किया कि भाई डोंट गिव पावर ओवर टू ए बंगाली, बिकॉज बड़ी प्रॉब्लम आ जाएगी पाकिस्तान में, एंड पावर देना तो मुझे दो. But Bhutto didn't have the majority. He had only 83 seats in a house of 304 or something. And Mujibur Rahman had the majority. He had over 153 seats. So ultimately, Mujib को arrest कर लिया और उसको जेल में डाल दिया. Now this was the signal of the breakup of Pakistan, and Yahya Khan turns out to be an absolute buffoon. And then he had some mistaken logic of military science that Pakistan's defense and offense lay in the west. That means in the western border. And when the Pakistan army were being hard pressed by the guerrillas, the Mukti Bahini, and the Indian special forces which are operating in Bangladesh or East Pakistan, he launched an attack on 7 Indian airfields in 1971 middle. This attack turned out to be a big zero. He was thinking it would be like Israel, like the Israelis had destroyed the Egyptian Air Force in 1967. He thought the same thing will happen. But this thing didn't happen, and ultimately Pakistan lost half the country. So army का ये एक बहुत बड़ा significant achievement है, which no other army has in the world, that they lost half the country within 25 years of independence. And after they had been in power for almost 13 years. So I don't think the Pakistani commentators talk about this, because the loss of a part of Pakistan, a big portion of it, and its bifurcation to entirely responsibility of the army. Of course, Bhutto played his part, but then the army was the force in power at that time. So कुछ time के बाद में Yahya Khan was removed. He was put under house arrest, and he remained under house arrest for about 6 to 7 years, till for a few months before his death he was released by General Zia, and he died after that. I mean, he had no contribution to make. Then came a period of time for Zulfikar Ali Bhutto to come up, and as I told you earlier, he was a bigoted man. He didn't have any sense, and he had given wrong advice to General Yahya Khan, because he wanted to be in power himself, and he actually is one of the men who was instrumental in the breakup of Pakistan, Cuttack. तो उस वक्त उन्होंने एक जनरल को प्रमोट किया एज आर्मी चीफ इन आई थिंक इन 77, and his name was General Ziaul Haq. Now he was a very staunch Muslim. I don't know what you mean by staunch Muslim, but he knew how to remain in power by pandering to the extremists and the mullah lobby. So in the coup d'etat which he carried out against Bhutto, he arrested him. And at that time, Bhutto had an opportunity to leave Pakistan and go away in exile. In fact, after he was arrested, he was released for some time, and he should have got the first plane out of Pakistan. But he, being a foolish man, thought that he is greatly popular and the world will not countenance his continuation in jail. But he didn't know that General Zia-ul Haq had already decided to hang him. And after a farcical trial, mind you, this trial started in the High Court of Punjab, when all trials start in the Sessions Court. Net result was that Shri Bhutto was hanged, and then came instability in Pakistan. But General Zia ul Haq, sort of held on to power and held on to power by pretending to the Muddas. He brought in a ordinance called the Hudud Ordinance. Now that put crimes against women under the purview of the Sharia. And the Sharia, as you know, says that you need 4 witnesses for a crime. And a woman's evidence is half of a man. So net result was, in cases of rape and others, there were no witnesses, and the rapist got away after having a good fun. Zia ultimately had to pay for his crime, and he was blown up in a plane crash. Until now, despite an inquiry has been committed, that report has not been public. Then came a period of instability for a few years in Pakistan. We had people like Benazir Bhutto coming into power, and then Nawaz Sharif, and ultimately Nawaz Sharif was overthrown by General Musharraf. And Musharraf was also in the mood to hang Nawaz Sharif. But उस वक्त political climate change हो गई थी, and he was advised by the Saudis, who were their backers, don't do such a thing. And then he was given life imprisonment. But a deal was worked out, and Saudi Arabia said, we will take Nawaz Sharif away from Pakistan for 10 years, no political activity for him, and after that he can come back. This was agreed to by Musharraf. He had no choice really, because the Saudis were the benefactor. They're giving all the money to Pakistan. And finally, Nawaz Sharif could freely breathe when he went away to Saudi Arabia in exile for 10 years. He returned only after Musharraf had been overthrown and he was to be impeached. Musharraf was another extremely bigoted man, and he was all the time thinking that how he will continue in power. There was no other option. He had an adventure against India in the Kargil war, in which he badly lost. His reputation gone down, but he put it on Nawaz Sharif. And ultimately the situation became so bad that at one stage everybody revolted against him, and he had to go in exile, first to London. He came back and was arrested for the murder of Benazir Bhutto and Mukti, the Baluch leader. And after that, the army intervened, because the army is all powerful in Pakistan. Bhutto was the General Zia was given bail, and he went away to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and was in retirement till he died. So Pakistan army has been continuously in power, and though after some time, Nawaz Sharif, who had come back after exile from Saudi Arabia, won a thumping victory in the parliamentary election, but he was very insecure. And very insecure in the sense that he didn't know what to do. Ultimately, the army decided, we don't want this man as Prime Minister. So they got hold of some Panama papers in which his name had come, and they put a charge against him, and he was tried. And as per the law in Pakistan, he had to resign and was given 10 years jail. And the man who engineered all this was a person called Imran Khan. Imran Khan was a cricketer, a good fast bowler during his time. I really admire him very much as far as cricket is concerned. But in politics, he was a big zero. At that time, he was the favored boy by the Pakistan army to become the Prime Minister, and he became the Prime Minister. And our friend Nawaz Sharif was in jail. Ultimately, a lot of pressure came from various countries that Nawaz is not well, so he should be given some bail to get medical treatment abroad. But this was just a ploy. He went away and never came back from London. He stayed there for a couple of years till Imran Khan was the Prime Minister. But Imran Khan grew too big for his boots, and army ने कहा भी हम इस आदमी को कैसे यहाँ continue करने देंगे. And net result is that he was asked to resign after a midnight vote. He lost by, I think, 2 votes. And very soon, as is the norm in Pakistan, he was tried for corruption charges and given 10 years or something of jail. His wife was also tried, and the charges are very flimsy. Santosh Khanna caches gifts were there, which is alleged to have sold. I don't know whether he really sold that herself or not. But anyway, he's at the moment in jail. And now, after another farcical election, a fixed election, which actually was won by Imran Khan, the army maneuvered it in such a way that it made the party of Nawaz Sharif and his brother Shahbaz Sharif as the winners. Now, Nawaz Sharif had come in the good books of the army, thanks to the American pressure, and he came back from London and he was acquitted of all the charges. I mean, I fail to understand when earlier his charges had been heard by the High Court and the Supreme Court and they had convicted him, and then they just did a volte face and no, nothing. His charges, he's acquitted of the charges. We can continue. This was because of the pressure by the army. Now I'm trying to show this entire thing that the army has throughout been in control of Pakistan from 1958 onwards. But इनका जो overall effect politics में तो आपने देख लिया क्या effect है. But as far as the economy of Pakistan is concerned, also they had a very disastrous effect. Now, if you look at what Kemal Atatürk did when he enforced martial law in Turkey, the first thing he did was to modernize Turkey. The women were discouraged from wearing the burqa. They started wearing skirts, short skirts, even bikinis, and things began to move. Today, I have been to Istanbul, and you go there, and you will find there's no difference from any European city. Istanbul is almost as gay as, say, Paris or Rome. And that is to the credit of Kemal Atatürk. He is known as the Great Turk. And he brought in a constitution which was secular. He said there will be no religion in Turkey, though 98% of the population of Turkey are Sunni Muslims. And Turkey then went more and more in the Western sphere of influence. There was progress, and compared to Pakistan, Turkey's per capita income is 10 times more than Pakistan. Now, what has the Pakistan army achieved in all these 66 years of rule? Nothing. The only thing they have achieved is to fatten their bellies, All the Pakistani generals made tons of money, and some of the Pakistanis themselves have brought out that the previous army chief, when he joined the chief of army staff, General Bajwa, was in nothing, a man of small money, and suddenly he became malumal. Yani wo malumal ban gaye. A lot of cash came into him. From kahan se aaya? He went and bought a house in London. He was having a ball, and every Pakistani general has it. Even Musharraf, I mean, he had a lot of money that he could go and spend time in London, and live happily. And then he was spending his time in Dubai. ये पैसा कहाँ से आया उसके पास? He was only an army chief, a government servant, and you compare with the Indian army chiefs who retire and go away to flats and stay there. While unfortunately these people, the Pakistan army people, are having palatial houses and farmhouses and whatnot. And every officer in the Pakistan army, after he becomes a major, is entitled to so many other facilities like land and house and all that, And the Pakistan army now has its finger in all the pies. I think if I remember correctly, I'd gone to Islamabad and once I had a cup of tea in one of the restaurants with a friend, and I found that the tea bags were made by the Pakistan Ordnance. I was really having a laugh. I said, this army which is supposed to do fighting is now making tea bags also. So they have gone into everything in Pakistan. They are like a dimension. They are the establishment now. They're controlling everything. Politicians, political parties, Bhutto, they are all, ancillary people who keep jumping like monkeys, here and there for the Pakistan army. And the general of the Pakistan army sits in the back and he's manipulating us, and these monkeys keep jumping. That's all. I'm using this hard picture basically just to illustrate that there is nothing in Pakistan which is worth it now with the army in charge. Now, Pakistan army इतने साल रह के उन्होंने ये किया है कि बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट्स हो गया जीरो, पाकिस्तान के फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व जीरो, Pakistan now under debt to so many countries, and unless Saudi Arabia, China don't give them money, Pakistan cannot survive. And there is shortage of foodstuff, and the farmers are restive. उनको पूरा पैसे नहीं मिल रहे, and despite their agitation where they were really thrashed, the armed farmers, and then you have no development in Pakistan. Pakistan thought they'll get a lot of money from the CPEC corridor which they had made with China, but China has slowed down the process when they realize that the money they are putting in is going into an abyss, and more or less the local people there have been killing the Chinese. Last time, about 5 or 6 Chinese engineers were killed in Balochistan, and nothing has come from Pakistan to China, and neither has Pakistan benefit anyway for anything. So net result of all this is that there is a shortage of food, shortage of atta, rice, which the Punjabis like to eat, and Pakistan is in dire problem economically. तो मैं ये समझना पूछना चाहता हूँ पाकिस्तानी से और पाकिस्तानी कमेंटेटर से कि ये बात क्यों नहीं आप लोग हाईलाइट करते कि पाकिस्तान आर्मी के कारण ही सब हुआ है. I suppose if there was a proper democracy and even if there was a proper civilian leadership, the chances are that Pakistan would have developed a little more. There is nothing that is made in Pakistan. There is no industry worth the name, and the world has nothing to do with Pakistan. Pakistan has been classified as a terrorist state, and that is a fact. और ये सब जो किसने किया है पाकिस्तान आर्मी, बिकॉज पाकिस्तान आर्मी की एक फिलॉसफी थी कि डिफेंस इन डेप्थ. उनका डिफेंस इन डेप्थ था अफगानिस्तान में. बोला भाई अफगानिस्तान के साथ दोस्ती रखेंगे हम, टेररिज्म जो है हम टेररिज्म अफगानिस्तान में रहेंगे, एंड दे विल गो एंड अटैक इंडिया एंड ऑल दैट. भाई ये बोलना तो अच्छा है, पेपर के ऊपर बना के भी चीफ के सामने रखना बहुत अच्छी आइडिया है, बट प्रैक्टिकली इट डजंट वर्क आउट बिकॉज जो टेररिस्ट होते हैं दे आर इन ए सीमलेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड दे all unite together. And now what is Pakistan facing is a big terrorist movement by the Tehreek-e-Pakistan. They want the imposition of Sharia all over Pakistan, and many Pakistani soldiers have been killed. So पहली बार Pakistan is realizing what it means to fight terrorism, and they are fighting for last 10 years and net result is zero. I think about 10 years back, 250 children of the army public school in Rawalpindi were killed, and the Pakistanis have forgotten about it. They keep still jumping like cats on a hot tin roof, and net result is that Pakistan is going down into an abyss of no return. Pakistan doesn't have the money to pay back its debts. Pakistan has industrialization is zero. Their food production is zero at the moment. It cannot feed its own population. And Pakistan still has some crazy dreams fostered by the army of fighting India and, India ko tabah karenge. I don't think they really realize that India has gone much ahead of them. Pakistan is 1/5 the size of India, and comparing with India is like a small jackal claiming parity with the loin. I mean, how could you do that? I think the Pakistan army should have been more vigilant, should have been more alert, and at the same time should have been more realistic. And their aim should have been to develop Pakistan like Turkey, but they didn't do that. They began to pander to the extremists and the Muslims, the Muslim extremists and the mullahs. In fact, General Ziaul Haq is one of the men who opened the Pandora's box, and what he did was he brought in the Sharia. That was opening the Pandora's box, and after that everybody was trying to be more royal than the king. Even our good friend Imran Khan has a lot to answer to the public. I mean, I like him very much, but that has got no bearing on what he did. He was the man who said, go slow on the terrorists in a northwest frontier because they are Pathans. And if they want something, give it to them. And so the Pakistan government had an agreement in which they agreed that certain forms of Sharia would be applicable in the northwest frontier. But all that has not brought peace. And now there is a battle in Balochistan. The Sindh people are restive, and Pakistan is now confined basically to Punjab. Even in Kashmir, people are not too pleased with Pakistan when they see the progress made by Indian Kashmir. So now the question is, what is the next for Pakistan? Now, army is like a bugbear, एक bugbear बन गया जाता है, and they are in control of everything in Pakistan. And the politicians, of course, even whether it is Shahbaz Sharif or anybody, they are just jumping on a hot tin roof. And the man calling the shots is General Munir. And he's not a very great general. He's not won any war or something anywhere, except he wears a nice slick uniform and a lot of pomp and joy is there. He goes and meets the ambassador or something, anybody. He has tried his level best to help. He went to Saudi Arabia, went to America, and the Americans know that he is the man in charge, the man with power, so they gave him a lot of, looked after him with a lot of spit and polish. I mean, they pandered to his ego, but net result is zero. So now Pakistan has also to make a choice whether they like to be with the Americans or with the Chinese. Pakistan has been an American ally since 1954, and China just came in much later. So this is another big problem with the Pakistan has. Though the army, I think, is inclined more to be with America, but the politicians would like to be with China. The Pakistan army thus has made no contribution to Pakistan, either politically, economically, socially, nothing. It's a big zero. And if an army has not been made any contribution, the net result is, I think, it won't be long before Pakistan breaks up again. After all, the Pakistan army has got the distinction of having lost half the country. I don't think in the world there is any country which has lost half of its country thanks to the inefficiency of the army. And the persons who are responsible, the army generals, they were the one in charge. And this thing has continued, and there is no hope at the end of the tunnel. Of course, they have got the nuclear bomb, but they know it very well that if they think and carry out a nuclear threat or something against India and use it, they'll be devastated. India will still survive because of its size. It's 5 times the size of Pakistan. And Pakistan will just cease to exist on the world map. So Pakistan knows that they dare not do these stunts, Rather, the army knows. The future for Pakistan is, in my view, very bleak. The army has totally destroyed the country. And until you send the army back to the barracks, which is the next to impossible task at the moment, because they have got their finger in the pie everywhere and they are the men with the gun. And the politicians are not the men with the gun. So, unless there is change of heart, I don't think anything is going to happen further in Pakistan. The next thing which will happen only is a breakup of Pakistan. I'm pretty sure about it's going to happen. Maybe it could take 5 years, 10 years, but Pakistan will break up, and that will be the end of Pakistani nationalism, which will then be confined to Punjab. Gentlemen, this is my end of my video. I hope you have liked it. Please share it with your friends and come back for more. In the meanwhile, I'll say goodbye and God bless.